Of the battle in Isgith, Meve remembered very little. It seemed a nightmare, its details a haze, the sensations very real. Amidst a thick fog, she fought in a frenzy, desperately hacking at the scourge that advanced from all sides. In the end, silence fell over the swamp. Its boiling waters lay calmed. The ticks and leeches were gone, while Guernicora lay among rotting leaves, covered in blood, unmoving, but still a fearsome sight.
Burn the corpse,
Rasped the Queen.
and we move on.
The soldier's eyes darted about in a series of silent glances. It took Meve a moment to realize the difficulty. They still feared it. Though the monster's lifeless body lay on the ground, they dared not go near. Were she to repeat the order, they would carry it out. Yet she did not wish to force that on them. Swallowing her own revulsion, she walked up to Guernicora's corpse and set it alight. The air soon filled with the suffocating stench of burning hair and flesh. Sparks belched out as melting fat fell on flame. Until finally, nothing was left of the bloody mistress but scorched bone. The Lyrians resumed their march towards the banks of the Yaruga. They forced their weary legs to maintain a swift pace and stole no second glance at what they'd left behind. towering alders grow thick in Isgith, their crowns weaving an expansive canopy that obscures the sky. Any sunbeams to slip through this twisted thicket scatter in the milky mist below. Thus the marsh abides in a state of perpetual twilight, wherein a sense of time and direction are easily lost. As the force moved along, a glow appeared in the trees. The Lyrians squinted, their mouths agape in wonder. An orb hung over the water, pulsating, humming. It circled the soldiers, darted off a distance, then hovered as if waiting.
A will-o'-the-wisp, that is,
whispered one of the footmen.
Believe it's keen to show us something.
Meve knew the wisp could prove treacherous, lead them into a trap. Nonetheless, she followed, though not entirely certain why. Her soldiers seemed eager, she sensed they approved. Yet she was also simply curious.
We follow it. Carefully. Weapons at the ready.
As the wisp led the Lyrians down a narrow, winding path, Meve surveyed her surroundings warily. Beads of sweat emerged upon her brow, but her fears in the end proved unfounded. For at the path's end, the troops found what appeared to be a caravan's remains. Its wagons, rot-eaten, half buried in the bog, had sat there for decades, perhaps longer. Despite this, gilded panels and scraps of silver-threaded fabric showed they'd once been rather ornate. Inside the wagons, the soldiers discovered many steel crates. Rust-covered but intact, they contained truly dazzling treasures. Sacks bulging with gold coin, pearl-encrusted goblets, exotic velvets and silks in beads.
Blimey, the sheer amount. And here of all places.
A footman muttered under his breath. Meve quickly pieced it all together. She too had once ridden in such a caravan, splendid and laden with gold, when she'd left her home to marry. The rest of the story was not difficult to divine. This was a maiden's dowry. She and her retinue lost their way. Isgith proved their grave, unbeknownst to any other. The wisp circled Meve's party, blinked several times, then faded into thin air. The troops resumed their march, and all seemed in order. Seemed, for soon several footmen were discovered to be gone. Greed had been their ruin. They'd grabbed too much. The loot had weighed them down, and the marsh had embraced them.